Hello everyone, my name's Pete and I'm returning to Tibia to experience something old and something new at the same time. I got an overwhelming response to me dipping my toes into this old and still well loved game, and such a warm welcome from the community has drawn me back for another go. You can already hear the something new part of this video. Tibia has received sound after 25 years of silence, and even as a first impression, this is some excellent music. In fact, I was listening to the soundtrack whilst writing this script and it's just so damn nice. I can't even imagine the pressure that must have fallen on the team to add sound after such a long time. No doubt many of the old school players despise it, but as for this guy, it's beautiful. I can't wait to hear the rest of it. Alright, let's get going. I've started a new character for this because there's something old as the original tutorial area. A kind viewer commented on the last video and informed me that you can still access it if you ask an NPC about it. So I'm just going to refamiliarise myself with the controls and also take on the advice of many commenters and make use of diagonal movement and turning on the spot. It's important to note that initially I played slowly whilst taking notes and either missed this important control information or I wasn't provided with it. So in this case the community has provided what the game either failed to do clearly or entirely. I asked this gentleman about Rookgaard and he doesn't speak fondly of it. He asks me if I'm sure I'd like to go there, then he sends me straight off without another word. And here I am. There's an NPC nearby who tells me he'll heal me if I'm injured, and I guess I'm off to explore on my own. I glance at my equipment and the first thing on my list is getting a new weapon, as this club will never do. I go to the weapon shop to find out prices and then I realise I don't have any money or any idea where to get some, so I keep looking around. I head underground, mostly by accident, and find some rats to fight. Fortunately for me, they can drop a small amount of gold and some cheese. This shouldn't take too long. I make use of diagonal movement and it's gloriously useful, and the ambient sounds are also great quality. The whomping noise of clubbing rats is very satisfying. I level up whilst whomping the rats and the sound for that is suitably snappy and also made me jump a bit. I save up enough to buy myself an axe and then I look around a little more. I find a big statue named Oracle who yells at me, telling me I'm a child and therefore not worthy or something, so I walk away and cry a little. I then speak to a guy in the academy and I stumble into a quest line. I'm going to help take down an orc shaman who threatens the village, eventually. However, I'm going to have to start with the basics. Step 1 is to help the village defend itself by loading the catapults situated on various roofs. I need to go to the basement beneath the barn, pick up a stone, drag it to a catapult, load it and repeat. There are 4 catapults but I only need to load 2 of them. At first I battled with the controls here as I was trying to drag the stone from my inventory onto the catapult. If I'd have read the instructions properly I wouldn't have had this problem. I need to click on the stone and use it on the catapult. This is an important learning point though. If I'm to use items through the rest of my journey, which I assume I am, I need to know the difference between moving them and using them. Lesson learned. Catapult successfully loaded and I return to Lair, who asks me to kill 5 rats in order to learn how to hit stuff. Luckily I'm already a professional rat smacker, so this is going to be easy. He then explicitly tells me that killing more than I need to is not necessary, as this questline is designed to take me to level 8, which is the ideal level for leaving the tutorial island and going to the wider world. I also use the quest log to track how many I've killed, and I'm pleased to find a simple, serviceable quest log. No whistles or bells, just exactly what's required. I decide from this point that I'm going to stick with axes as my weapon of choice because I think I'm secretly a dwarf. For the next part of the quest I'm directed to the southwest to find another NPC, and confident in my ability to understand compass points, I promptly go to the southeast instead and find a beach. Unable to locate the NPC because I'm an idiot, I do accidentally discover that I can swim here. I didn't expect that at all. Look how cute my swimming cap is. I realise my mistake and head sheepishly to the correct place, which has been rather embarrassingly marked clearly on my map. Here I'm asked to take a bag of herbs out to an old hermit who lives just outside of town. I need to exit north and follow the path east that brings me to a little cave. I kill a deer outside and harvest the meat and, ham. I squish a spider and I head inside to make the delivery. I'm rewarded with a couple of healing potions and a magic ring that boosts the healing effect of food. The effect of the ring is on a timer that runs down while I'm wearing it. I'm given very clear instructions to take it off when I don't need the healing boost so as not to waste the enchantment, so naturally I put it on and completely forget about it. Back to the village and I report my success to Lair, who then goes on to explain the next step. I need to visit a giant spider, the Spider Queen no less, but I'm specifically told not to fight it. I need to take a sample of her web to use against the orcs. Apparently the Spider Queen is mostly blind and relies on her sense of smell to find me, and I can protect myself against this using a greasy stone found near her lair. Before I go I have a little poke around town and find a bridge with a sign saying only premium members may cross. There's nobody around so I decide to defy the sign and head over the bridge. I'm thwarted by a magical barrier that teleports me backwards. Curse you, magical barrier. On my way out to the spider lair, I noticed that the ambient sounds change at night. This is an excellent little detail. If I didn't already know otherwise, you could have told me all these sounds had always been there and I'd believe you. Everything fits so well. I reach the spider lair and make my way down, fighting spiders as I go. The egg sacs move and wobble in a fittingly disturbing manner, and there are many webs lining the walls, but I can't just use any web, it's got to be from the queen herself. I find the blue greasy stone, lather myself up and slide down the stairs. I was expecting the Spider Queen to occupy most of the screen, but she looks suitably nasty and I'm going to trust the game when it tells me she's too powerful for me to fight. I grab a web and get the hell out of there. I hunt some more deer on the way back for the deer ham, and I notice that my movement speed changes depending on the surface I'm walking on. Paths and roads are faster, which makes sense, and I'll try and remember this for running away when I inevitably get myself surrounded. I hand the web over to Vasculaire and he tells me to head across the street and inquire about a new pair of boots. Tom the Tanner wants me to have a special pair made from special leather. Warwolf leather. Apparently the best available on Rookgaard. I'm warned that a warwolf would be far more than I can handle, but a poacher was seen heading towards their lair, and I need to find a way to get the wolf pelt off the poacher instead. Upon arriving at the wolf den, I find the poacher's corpse. I take his skinning knife and I need to find a warwolf myself, preferably one that's already dead. I find one several floors down and quickly skin the beast. Then I need to exit, and fast, but I can't see the rope point to get out. Panic sets in and I start clicking random bits of floor hoping I'll go upstairs, but it doesn't seem to happen. And then fear starts to take hold and I go further into the cave where I get given a speed boost and a message telling me to run splashes across the screen. The stupid game actually managed to get my heart rate to increase. I make it to the exit and I'm almost certain I was in no actual danger, but they got me good. To settle my nerves, I kill everything on my way back to Tom. So far, I'm learning way more about the game and having much more fun than I did in the new tutorial. I can't understand why they chose to hide this away. I get back to Tom, who tells me that my movement speed will naturally increase as I gain levels, and there are items and spells to increase it further. I give him the pelt and he says it's useless as it was skinned by an amateur, and I get a little bit offended and then wonder if skinning or even crafting is part of the game. After my ordeal, I'm awarded a pair of standard leather boots, which is both funny and better than nothing. Then I'm sent back to Vasculaire to continue. I get there and he asks me if I could smell the fire. I lie and say yes because there's no way for me to tell there's a fire, and I was worried that saying no would be declining the next part of the quest. Apparently part of the academy is burning because trolls have tunnelled their way in, into the library no less, and set it on fire, and it just so happens to house a book that would help us against the Orc Shaman. Naturally, I'm sent into the Inferno to recover said book. I make my way to the library after getting distracted by the things to see down here, and I use a rune to dampen the flames while I pick up the book. I get out book in hand and return it to Vasculaire, and I guess we're just going to let the fire burn everything else because nobody seems to care. Instead of putting out the fire, I need to go and stop the trolls from breaking in again. Before I do that, I get a quick bank tutorial where I'm told how to quickly deposit all my money, something I missed or wasn't told in the new tutorial, and was rescued once again by the community commenters. Seriously, you guys are so helpful, and people should see that side of the community, it's so wholesome. I also start saying thanks and goodbye to NPCs because the passive-aggressive comments when you just walk away make me feel bad. Before taking on the trolls, I buy myself some new armour. Upon getting to the troll caves, I'm grateful for that decision as the trolls seem to have a bucket load more health and fighting them is a real slog at first. I find a pickaxe in one of the chests, which is really heavy by the way, and I use it to weaken the supports in the cave. Upon exiting, I'm told the caves collapse, and I guess that's the problem taken care of. I'm really enjoying the idea that combat is mostly discouraged in favour of little tasks instead. There's plenty to fight of course, but my main objectives are more focused on finding and interacting with the environment rather than just killing X number of enemies followed by a mini-boss. On my way back up I find a spear, which is a ranged weapon, and I try it out. My low skill translates into a low hit rate, and while the damage is much higher, the fact that a spear is a consumable and needs regularly resupplying puts me off using them for any length of time right now. Maybe I can train that skill later. I take the wrong exit out of the troll caves and I spot what looks like maybe orcs. Just to be on the safe side, I run away. I get back to town and sell another reward, and then Vasculaire points me to the Rookgaard graveyard, which rhymes. And I was wondering when the undead were going to show up. Apparently I need to look for a fleshy bone. Well, Vasculaire, as luck would have it, I get to the graveyard and head into the crypt. There I fight some skeletons who absorb a ton of damage and serve to slow my progress. I go around clicking on every coffin, finding nothing until I come across this very elaborate and out of place sarcophagus. Inside is the disgusting item I require, and I head back to the land of the living. On the way back I try to take some gold coins off a corpse and get told they'd be too heavy to pick up. so gold has weight. This is useful information, and I'll need to make sure that I deposit often for inventory purposes as well as keeping my money safe. Upon returning, I'm rewarded with another item that I immediately sell. My next objective is to retrieve some poison from a wasp. Apparently they're the most poisonous creatures on Rookgaard and the only ones that stand a chance of weakening the Orc Shaman. I head out into the wilderness once more and I battle through wolves and snakes before I reach the Wasp Tower. After a lengthy but uneventful exchange with a wasp, I scoop some poison into the vial and get straight back to town. My damage output seems to be scaling nicely. I didn't hit the wasp very hard, but it also didn't hit me too hard either. I guess I've been given an easy ride so far though, as I was given protective amulets against both the undead's life drain and the wasp's poison effects, but the balance feels just right for a tutorial. I hand the poison over to Lair and he warns me that I've reached the ideal level to leave Rookgaard. He offers me the choice to clear my quest log and leave now, or see the mission through to the end. I've come this far and I want to face this shaman. And as luck would have it, now is the time to do so. I'm handed a bag filled with the items I've collected, and a rolling pin. I'm to head to the Orc Fortress, sneak past the guards, cause a distraction, poison the soup and kill the shaman. Simple, right? Well, I head on out and take a wrong turn and fight a couple of bears instead. I was ready to retreat, but it turns out they just have high health and I take them out and harvest their meat. I get to Orc territory and immediately get into a fight with an Orc, despite Lair's warning to avoid combat. I win the fight and wander towards the gate. There's a guard who's pretty stationary, so I walk up behind him and try to bonk him on the head with my rolling pin. Nothing happens. Then I kill a deer right behind him, which he fails to notice, and I decide to just walk in front of him to see what happens. I'm told he won't let me pass and I should search around for a disguise. This takes a while as I'm attacked by another 3 orcs, and whilst I can fight them, it takes a while to grind the health down. Then I find an unaware orc, bonk him on the noggin and wear his corpse like a mech suit. I get past the first guard and I'm told to use the fleshy bone on the elite guard by the ladder. When I do so, all hell breaks loose and I can slip into the cave unnoticed. Almost, because when I get down there, some orcs are immediately hostile. I choose to try and walk past them and find the kitchen, but by the time I do there are many orcs slapping at me and blocking my movement, so I have to fight them. I have to use a health potion to survive, and by the time I kill them off some have respawned, so I head further in and I'm relieved to see some stairs down. Luckily, stairs are my friends and don't work in the physical world for enemies. However, at the bottom of these stairs is a fast-moving orc berserker. I use my tarantula trap on him and zip through a teleporter without a single thought as to how I'll get back out. In here I solve a small puzzle involving levers and magic barriers, and eventually I'm transported to the shaman's room. I'm given a 5-minute timer to kill him before I get ejected, and after he starts hurling spells and summoning demons, I fully expect to lose. He has high defense, and when I do hit him it's for small damage. I try to keep moving to avoid a spell occasionally, and I learned that the demons only require 1 hit to be dispelled. The spell effects tempted me to change my mind and pick a magic vocation when I'm done, but I catch myself and remember that I need simple gameplay in order to succeed even slightly. I snatch victory just in time, gain a bit of loot, and then I'm sent outside and get to return to town triumphant. Lair thanks me for my help and sends me on my way to my destiny. I speak to the Oracle, who now has time for me, and I'm warped away from Rookgaard to the Island of Destiny. Here there's a festival being hosted where I can learn about the vocations and get a taste of how they work. These mini tutorials do a much better job of explaining the differences than the new tutorial does, as these come with actual explanations of what to expect instead of just a new set of abilities and equipment thrown at you. I assume this would have also been a busy section of the game at one point, with players all moving in and out of the tents and trying the various weapons out. The magic is powerful, but the lack of defense makes me nervous. The paladins are a neat idea, but the idea of constantly managing inventory for ammunition puts me off, and the druid being the healer seems a bit difficult for a first timer. Also, the tutorial spells here aren't being added to my spell list when they say they should be. Instead of using hotkeys, I'm copy and pasting the spell words into the chat bar. Because of the simplicity, I settle with Knight. I speak to the Knight who confirms my selection and opt for the detailed information about my choice, at the end of which I must pass a small quiz to demonstrate that I understood. I'm then awarded some better equipment and given a dungeon to go hunting for a while. Down here I fight dwarves who are all shouting "Hail Durin" as a battle cry. I wonder if there's a Balrog further down. I now have access to a light spell and a minor healing spell, both of which are massively useful. I get a message asking me to leave this cave as it's for players under level 10, but I kinda like hunting down here. I can take on the dwarves and they give decent XP. Sadly, I hit level 11 and I'm immediately warped outside. I head north and speak to the captain of the ship who advises that I go to Venor, and this is where I went to last time, and without information to say I should go otherwise, I set sail. And from there I make my way to the Adventurers Guild, which is where I finished up last time too. This was a much better introduction to Tibia. I can fully understand why players would have wanted something quicker for alternate characters, as it takes much longer, but as an actual tutorial, Rookgaard is far superior. It covers everything in a step-by-step manner and builds your experiences slowly but surely, working up to a challenging battle that puts everything you've learned into practice. In my humble opinion, when someone creates a character for the first time, they should be sent to Rookgaard, with the option to do the new tutorial area as a faster option for returning players. I learned way more about the game and its mechanics here, and I'm also prepared for some interesting quest lines because of the setup. It's sad to see something so well crafted swept under the carpet in favour of a soulless shortcut, especially when it's a more effective introduction for newbies. I've now set myself the task of reaching level 30 out in the wider world. If I make it, I'll report back on how I'm feeling. Thanks to you guys for offering so much support on the first video. You've successfully roped me in for a bit longer, and hopefully my experience with players in game will be just as positive. Maybe I'll see you in there, but for now, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.